From the San Francisco Chronicle. What we know about David DePape, man accused of attacking Paul Pelosi with a hammer. First and foremost, the story is he broke into the house, I believe it was in the wee hours of the morning, screaming, "Where's Nancy?" That's what they've reported. And then mercilessly beat Paul Pelosi with a hammer. I mean, it's deranged and unhinged. But many people are trying to figure out what the motivations of this man was. Of course, immediately people on the right were saying, sounds like crime. It's San Francisco. Why would we assume otherwise? I think that's logical. Many on the left said, clearly, it's Republicans, it's MAGA, this is what they want for you. Well, they were wrong. It turns out he listed himself as a member of the Green Party. Voting records show DePape listed himself as a member of the Green Party years ago. So this is not somebody who just had it on his profile. It's not the media just claiming it. It's actually in his records, Green Party. Green Party is leftist. Now, it's not like Antifa. It's not like Democrats or anything. It's like its own, sect of leftists, but that's what it is. It was an unhinged leftist conspiracy theorist. When I talk to people on the left and I say that the left has their share of conspiracy weirdos, they always tell me that's not true. And then you point out the weird hippie crystals, natural health, anti-government, anti-war stuff, and they say, oh, but that's not really left wing. And I'm just like, shut up, dude. Bro, the guy was a leftist. I'm not saying that's why he did it. He was an anti-government conspiracy theorist. This doesn't have to be about politics. It can be about a crazy guy, but...
Yeah, being for natural health isn't a conspiracy theory, but anyway,
I'm not saying that.
It's a way of life.
I'm saying there are conspiracy theorists who have like a conspiracy view of natural health stuff.
It's kind of sad how, something tragic happens, something really bad happens, someone gets seriously hurt, and the first thing that happens is everyone jumps online trying to blame it on some other political opponent for their own political purposes. I think it's fair to say this guy was crazy. He was unhinged. He was absolutely a lunatic, and it's horrible. It sucks what happened here, and of course, it should be always said that this should never happen.
And not out of place in San Francisco, which has a massive mental health crisis. You have people like this Green Party guy all over the streets. So, I mean, it goes without saying that it's probably just a matter of the crime, the homelessness. I think he had a house. He lived with roommates or something. But
dude had there's a pride flag, an American flag, pride flag in front of the house, apparently.
Well, he was living in Berkeley as part of a nudist organization and group, too.
Public safety investigative reporter for NBC Bay Area posted this image of this house, and there's a pride flag. That is not a right-wing dude. Now, look, I agree with you, Luke, and I think there's an inherent problem with how we try to fairly represent this. If this was when it was only known that he posted election conspiracy theories, they were all like saying, "Oh, it's MAGA, it's Trump supporters. This proves it." They immediately latched on and went for the political attack. Then we find out it's a Green Party guy with a pride flag, and we go, guys, calm down. We shouldn't make this political, right? That's a huge problem. I'm not saying I know a solution.
I say we should ban nudists and put them into camps. Clearly, the nudists are surely responsible for all of this, and they were working for this all along, especially with their secret society and organization that they have set up in San Francisco, where they have been clearly popping up out of nowhere randomly all the time. I'm telling you.
What if? I want you to bear with me, and I want you to imagine a perfect world for a moment. Tomorrow, Nancy Pelosi holds a press conference, and she says, "I cannot believe what happened to my husband. If he had a Magnum 357, this wouldn't have happened. I am now in favor of the Second Amendment."
That was my second thought. The first thought was, well, how injured was he? Hopefully he's okay, kind of thing. And then the second thing was like, did he have a gun? Man. He didn't fire on this home intruder, and I wish
you could have a gun in San Francisco, bro.
Yeah. So like, if he had a gun and the guy broke in with a hammer to crack his skull, he probably would have fired on the guy, put him down, and then ended the invasion.
Ian, that again is a radical idea that makes no sense at all. Clearly, what we have to do here is ban hammers. Hammers are the problem. There's too many of them. Anyone could just get them without any background checks. Anyone could just transfer a hammer to another person. Clearly, right now, the government has to intervene. Go to Home Depot immediately. Shut down the hammers.
No. No one is actually saying ban hammers. We just want common sense hammer control.
Okay. Yes. No military grade hammer handles. We don't want any scary hammer heads.
No black hammers.
No black hammers at all.
No.
It needs to have an orange tip.
No bump stock. No bump stock hammers.
Right.
Can somebody? Right. It's time to start making the memes. Whatever. No, it's time to start making the memes. We need to start making memes of bump stock hammers, pistol grip hammers, pump action hammers. Yeah, just have at it, friends.
An AR-15 with a hammer attachment. No, but
hammer foregrip.
But you brought up a great point, Ian. Absolutely. People should be armed, especially if they're elderly, especially if they're living in a crime-ridden place like San Francisco, especially if they're popular and everyone knows where they live. This is not the first time that the Pelosis have had their house targeted. Everyone should have the right to defend themselves. And whether you're a woman or someone who's elderly or someone who's weak or fragile, whatever it may be, what is the great equalizer is you having the ability to be able to defend yourself, and a firearm does that more and better than anything else out there.
I also want to know what prescriptions he was on, what pills, because this is really what it comes down to. It's a mental health crisis. We got a lot of people on these heavy antidepressants, and it sends them off the deep end. And maybe he was just a nice, hippie, peaceful Berkeley guy, just living out his best life in the nude, and then he snapped. That's the real story.
Maybe he ate Taco Bell. And then he just went like...
and some raw milk.
Maybe the Taco Bell had a bunch of SSRIs in it that someone just laced in there accidentally when they were working for the company, and then that brain chemistry just got all out of whack, and then bada bing, bada boom.
Now, this is not a natural health conspiracy, but I do think if you eat nothing but fast food, your brain is probably going to be messed up in a certain way. And what I mean is, like, simply put, you're probably missing some nutrients if you're only eating a lot of this garbage. Like that Super Size Me guy. He said the reason he wanted to eat McDonald's for 30 days was because if they serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they clearly want you to be eating it. Their response was like, we don't expect someone to eat nothing but McDonald's. But it's like, dude, if you're selling food, people are going to eat your food.
That should be the regulatory standard. It's like if you only eat your food for X period of time, what are the impacts? It shouldn't just be the one-off time you eat it. It should be a set period of time over a month, whatever it is.
Yeah, otherwise you should have a prescription.
Right.
If you're not able to have it, well, I guess what do they say with alcohol? Just use it at your own
that's how
discretion.
The prescriptions are regulated. How does it impact you over the entire time of the prescription? It should be the same if you're for food, a month, 2 months, whatever it is.
So here's what's funny. They say in the San Francisco Chronicle that the dude had a blog with screeds about the ruling class, right-wing conspiracy theories, and racial slurs. Yo, the populist stuff is left and right. That's the thing. Like, he was Green Party. It was funny. I saw someone post. I can't remember who posted it. They said that, like, the Venn diagram of a Trump supporter and a nudist Berkeley hippie is not a circle. And I'm like, it probably overlaps.
Right.
To be completely, like, for real. A bunch of anti-war leftists became Trump supporters.
Yep. Well, 8
100%.
million Obama voters, 9 voted for Trump. I mean, there was a huge Bernie contingent after the primary. I mean, this is a real phenomenon. And like you said, it's a populism that crosses partisan lines. And it really just speaks to the anti-establishment nature of a lot of these guys. He's clearly anti-establishment if you're going to try to assign any kind of overarching political ideology to him. But beyond that, I mean, where this guy falls on a right-left spectrum, who knows? I mean,
they mentioned he posted Q stuff too, and that's why I'm like, the dude's clearly just crazy.
Yeah.
But if you want to play games, in the media, well, he was a Green Party.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, I think when you talk about ruling class, it's really an economic issue, and that can be left or right. Or up or down, I suppose.
Well, it's really not. Yeah, it's not that linear spectrum. It's that square. The libertarians always like to use with the authoritarian, non-authoritarian, economic, statism. Laissez-faire. So if you put it on that, it makes a little more sense. But
He was a hemp jewelry maker. Like,
no wonder he went off.
He's probably blown his mind out on psychoactives, is my guess.
Where's Nancy? So Daily Mail says he had a hit list of other politicians.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he's behind bars. Is that what's the status?
He's facing
right now?
attempted murder charges right now.
Was he going to be let
He's
off?
Canadian.
He's Canadian. Oh, there you go.
Also,
Really?
apparently
Yeah.
anti-Semitic as well.
I think he's just crazy.
Yeah.
And
That's the first thing.
it's funny that what's going to happen now based on the Q stuff and the election stuff is the left is going to say he's a right winger.
Right.
And then when you point out he's a Green Party, they're going to be like, no, that doesn't matter because he did this. You know what I mean?
What annoys me about this is that you go to the city and you have attacks like this on the subway weekly, monthly, constantly. Asian Americans, Jewish Americans, whoever it is, they get attacked by lunatics like this, and those guys are out, within a week from bail reform or whatever, and then obviously it finally hits home to the elites. And I'm not trying to downplay it; it's obviously horrible what happened to her husband, but it just goes to show that it's only becoming an issue, and there's only going to be some serious reform.
There was a guy in New York City that was caught on a viral video putting an axe in front of a woman's face after smashing up a McDonald's, threatening to to essentially
And they interviewed
kill
him.
her with it. He got out the next day.
And he was on New York One. He was doing interviews. He was on the media circuit, and he was like, "Oh, well, listen, I just had it was hot. I had a rough day," and it was like,
Yeah.
this could have been this guy."
And then a couple days later, he got arrested again from stealing a bike and running away after doing graffiti. And again, this guy, of course, is going to have a very stiff sentence. This guy is, of course, going to be kept in jail. Other people who commit other crimes,
On regular
other crazy
Joe
people,
Schmoes.
on regular Joe Schmoes, they just get let go every single day because of the George Soros-appointed district attorneys
Correct.
all throughout the United States that have been causing havoc everywhere. And when I was talking about banning hammers and blunt objects, we got to understand, many years, according to the FBI statistics, more people have died from hammers than rifles.
I'm pretty sure it's illegal to walk around Chicago with a baseball bat.
Well, it depends. If you're coming from like a baseball field, like it depends on how you're brandishing it, right? No?
My understanding, at least this is what the cops told us. They were like, if we see you with a baseball bat, we can arrest you for possession of a weapon. But typically, if you have a baseball bat and a baseball together, they could, but you probably won't get in trouble. But that's how broken things are. So in Illinois, I'm pretty sure like the only weapon, or in Chicago, the only weapon you can have. It used to be this way pre the what was the decision in D.C.? Was it Heller? Was it Heller? I don't know. You someone want to look it up? The handgun decision in 2008.
Yeah, it was Heller versus.
You could only have a 2-foot long rubber switch for whacking somebody.
Wow.
Yeah, and all the criminals had guns.
Right.
So we know how that worked out.
It's just asymmetrical warfare. Law-abiding citizens. You're off on your own with that rubber thing you just mentioned, and good luck bringing it to a gunfight.
Dude, I don't know if you guys saw this video out of New York where there's a guy in a hood on the subway, and then another guy is just walking, minding his own business. First guy just runs full speed, and then boom, body slams him right onto the tracks, and then runs for it.
What happened to that guy that got knocked on the tracks?
I don't know about that guy. I know that several people have been killed.
Yeah.
What would you do if you
29
saw
people.
that happen in front of you? Jump down on the tracks, grab the guy, and get him up onto the platform?
You try, I guess.
Like,
but
you don't want to land
You
on
want
the
to make
third
sure
rail.
he's not touching the
third
third
rail.
rail.
And you can't touch him. You'll get locked in.
Well, there's always delays.
Or
and
blown back.
Every time there's a delay like that, I mean, you know what happened. You may not be at that stop. You may be a whiles away, but it's a commute. Either someone did it themselves, it's a suicide, or one of these instances.
When I lived in New York, I used to think like, okay, I don't need to work out all the time. I wasn't obsessed with being strong, but I was like, I need to be strong enough so that if someone falls on the track, I can jump down and get them up out of the track.
I consciously think about where my head would land if I was just pushed, if it would make it to the track, and I just try to give myself an extra foot or two in case someone comes from behind. But depending on the force, it doesn't really matter. They can get you onto the tracks if they really push.
And then I'm sure MTA will say, don't go down there. It's too dangerous. Don't put yourself at risk if someone falls on the track. But that goes through my head. I'm like, God, I hope that guy's okay.
Is it, Luke, was it Japan or Singapore where they have glass blocking?
It's Singapore.
Japan.
Singapore?
It's Singapore. There was in high school when they installed those. And it's like basically just doors that are exactly like the train doors. They open and then they allow you to go through the door.
But
and then to
the
train
airports
doors.
do glass.
Yep,
Oh,
there's a separate glass line just
I
for
think
that
Japan
exact
does
reason.
that too.
Japan does that as well.
Not for
and then,
crime,
and then
for suicide.
If you kill yourself in Japan, there's particular lines and particular access roads where there's bigger fines for the family members of the
Correct.
individual that killed themselves than other roadways that aren't as popular.
Well,
so your family gets fined
like
in Japan if you kill yourself.
That is interesting. They have seppuku, right? Which is like a traditional thing of like an honor suicide or whatever.
Yep.
And so it's interesting that there is an element of some kind of high suicide in Japan. I wonder if that's just like a cultural thing persisted, so people are more willing to do it. I don't know.
Culture, long working hours. I feel it's a litany.
No
of things.
families, no babies. They sell more adult diapers than baby diapers.
they're-
Oh,
there.
bro, that's coming to a country near you. You kidding?
Population
It's not coming.
cliff.
It's here. It's already here.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.